What's up, guys? JP here with Leprechaun Fantasy Workshop. Sorry, I stumbled over that. Leprechaun Fantasy Workshop. Here to do some painting today. I do want to show you some of the stuff that we did last week, how it turned out, because obviously I couldn't show you the resin since it hadn't hardened yet. So if you've been following, you'll see that we did a couple resin pours. And if not, check out the video on YouTube. It's still up there. I believe it's still on Twitch as well. For those who are following on my on our Facebook page, this is our first stream on there, so the video won't be there. But I will try and throw up or share it later this week. So let me get into that, and then I'll show you what we're painting this week. So it should be pretty fun. So for the resin pour, I'm not going to go through all the tiles, but let's do the... Here's how our rivers turned out. So you can see that there's the definition of the resin in there. And you can see that it looks like there's some water, and it gives the definition of the rocks. You can see that the rocks are, some of them are actually completely submerged, and then some of them are not. I think it turned out really rather well. I didn't have any air bubbles or anything like that. The shrine that we did, I'm very happy with. So, as you can see, sorry, let me get that while moving my mic. So the shrine came out rather well. You've got the resin pour in there. Honestly, it's probably one of my best resin pours I've had in a long time. Didn't have too much leakage or problems with that. One thing I do want to share with you guys, because I used a new cup when making my resin, and I kept it because I wanted to show you. So here, maybe it's better to show it that way. Yeah, that is a red Solo cup, except it's clear, and the entire bottom has melted, deformed. I mean, I know resin mixing together is a chemical reaction. I did not know that it probably heats up enough to melt plastic. So that may be something that if you do a resin pour, that I'm certainly going to think of next time. Make sure that your plastics, your materials are at temperature, or that can handle the temperatures. Let's say microwavable. I can't imagine it getting hotter than anything in a microwave, but yeah. So I kept that for the week to share with you. Check that out. I can hold on to the stick, and it doesn't. But yeah. So that was. I came in. I actually did move all the materials. Make sure when you do it, I had that in the studio, and I got lightheaded after, I don't know, like an hour. Because, I mean, this is my studio. This is where I do a lot of other work when I'm not live streaming. Or when I'm doing gaming or editing videos, that kind of stuff that I hope to be posting here soon. So, I had it on the prep table, on the build table, and I'm just like, whew, it's trapped in this room. And so I end up moving it, like I do all things when I do resin pour, into my bathtub in my bathroom. So, and then shut the door promptly and open the window. But yeah, so make sure you have a well-ventilated area. That's something I learned from. That's the biggest resin pour I've ever done to date. I've got some things planned. But yeah, so fun facts there. What we're going to be doing today, I'm very excited. I actually picked these up today. I've been waiting for it for a very long time. So you can check that out. What this is the Earth Elemental Lord from Pathfinder, unpainted. It's a colossal miniature. And I already they have 3. This is the 3rd one to come out. They have the Fire Elemental Lord, and I believe the Air Elemental Lord. And like I said, they're in this scale. They're massive. And I brought the other miniatures for these that I have in my collection, because I have plans for these. There's 4 Elemental Lords. And so, let's put it this way. If you were an adventurer, let's say you're a DM, and you're looking to, have some adventure or something like that, one of the part of the main quest you could do is having, the players go to 4 elemental temples. Just like you had in, if you've ever played, like, Ocarina of Time, Zelda. You go to the water temple that everybody gets lost in and struggles to, beat. You have the fire temple, the Gorgons. You have, the Duca Tree, and I forget what the Forest Temple, and then what the Wind Temple could be, I don't know, the Desert Valley, whatever. Insert temple here. But yeah, I mean, this could be a big bad enemy guy for your big temple or whatever like that. And then you can use the other size elementals as the cannon fodder, the underlings, so let me show you those too, because I mean, this is for Pathfinder. Now, I play D&D, but I interchange my miniatures all the time. So, first guy I have here actually came in the board game, in one of the board games. I forget which one. I'd have to check on that. But, yeah, so, wee little guy. He's a medium size. And then these they come in packs of 2, and I don't have the other one here. But, great miniature. And it is, again, for Pathfinder. And so I wanted to add a bunch of elemental figures to my collection. So I had, a number, because it's players. I mean, once your players are up to like level 5, you can't hit them just with one thing. It's got to be, 3 or 4. And elementals make sense to, they step into a room and from the earth, several pop up. Think like Last Airbender, and you've got, tons of earth, benders or fire benders, that kind of stuff. The last figures I wanted to show, there's one I painted. So the other 2 I painted, by the way. This guy, who I bought in a pack. He comes by himself. And then I pulled this one from the Fangs and Talons box line. So it's a different sculpt. If you buy the ones to paint, different sculpt, different. It's going to be a different size, and then you've got the one, like this one doesn't actually have like anything on the base, while as I could decorate that base and do that kind of stuff. So, yeah. And then these are large figures. So, just the variety of the game. So, we're going to do the Earth Elemental Lord, and then I wanted to also add, just because it's only going to take me a couple colors for him, and I can knock him out like in 20 minutes. The Bone Naga. I do not have one in my collection. I've always wanted to get one. And I was just at the game store today, and I was just like, why not? Very excited. My game store's expanded like 50% more miniatures. Massive. Like it's literally doubled in size. And they're planning for Wave 15, which unfortunately no one knows when that's coming out. So let's get these opened up. It's kind of like an unboxing, right? We've done the last 2 videos were unboxings and then showing stuff. So, great sculpts. I love them. And I'm going to show you exactly, from start to finish, of how I paint miniatures. Because I do everything the same order of business all the time. And I don't have I do have a razor blade. Always have a blade with you. Oh, that's a heavy guy. That's a big boy. Very cool. Check out that base size. It's just huge. Now, I don't mean huge like the size. Like if you are a tabletop player, that would be gigantic. Is the actual technical term. I want to be technically accurate, you know? Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. That's a big boy. It's like solid that's got to be like 1.5 pounds. Anyways, so all right. So let's get to painting. I always put the bases off because you can glue them on afterwards. That's the very last step. So the first thing I do when I'm painting the miniatures, as I've mentioned, same thing I do with terrain. When I'm painting the miniatures, I try to keep the like back of the card for a reference guide of how I want to paint it. I generally stick with the painting guide. For this, I saw theirs, and you know what? I'll just grab that box so I can show you what I don't like about it. So they have, it's pretty much the entire color. Like the rock he's throwing, I mean with the Crystallis there, you've got some green, but it's just, that's boring. Like, you know, I mean, no, I mean, you looked at mine are all the same color too. But then I've got, you know, this guy versus this guy. You know, there's a bit more brown to him, and that's something I've been working towards, is trying to get more color into it. So we're going to try and do some more color. I'm going to work with some more browns and different grays and try and make him more unique. And then the rock he's throwing, I want it to differentiate from what he is. So maybe he's made of granite and the rock he's throwing is flint. Who knows? We'll get to that. So the first thing we always do, I've got all the paints already organized all around me, that kind of thing. What I like to do, and what I always do, for everything I paint, is I always first paint it black. Whole thing black. I know they say these are pre-primed miniatures. You can see it on the card. It says right here, primed, ready to paint out of the box. Yeah, ready to paint, but it ain't gonna cut it. That primer, I don't believe in it. So, it's gonna do some black, the regular old-fashioned apple barrel. You can get this stuff for like a big bottle of it for like $2 or something, like $2-3, I think. The big black ones, from Apple Barrel. Now, if you go like and get Folk Art Black, something like that, that's gonna be, you know, different. If you're chuckling to yourself right now, whoever's watching right now. He said big and black, and it's really cheap. You need to grow up. Anyways, so probably related to you if you're chuckling. Anyways, so I'm gonna do this one first because I want it. By the time I get done painting him, this is gonna be dry. And like I said, we're gonna knock this out. 20 minutes is a joke. It's gonna probably be, I don't know, 10 minutes tops for the whole. Now, obviously, I'm doing the other guy too, so I am not trying to be neat with this at all. This is just, I got to get the whole thing covered. Normally, I would spray paint a bit, like big stuff, and this miniature, but I mean, the other miniature definitely defines as a big stuff. But in that situation, the spray paint wouldn't have dried by the time, you know, I went to stream, because I just picked this up today. So this is my other way of painting miniatures in bulk. And when I spray paint, I use I get it from, I think, Home Depot. It's like a Krylon, I think that's what it's called, is the make. This is another thing I do to try and keep my hands less painty, is to put it on my actual paint rag. I'm trying to get in between those bones. And that's gonna be our biggest challenge, is painting the base under the bones, because I want the base to show through under the bones. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, quick enough. And what I like to do is I like to give it one final look over, different angles, make sure I got all the, see right there, didn't have him. painted there. And here's the thing, the black, when you paint on top of black, I mean, there's probably some artsy, scientific nonsense of why, but it's in my opinion, if I painted this right now, the paint wouldn't show through as well, in my opinion. And also, if I miss a spot, it's going to have this, like, whitish gray color to it. And that's just... Black just is black. Like, black's a natural, like... You know, maybe it's a shadow in a crevice or something like that. Now, if I was painting, like, a winner, like, something, you know, a penguin, I'm not going to... I mean, that's a different matter. The only time I've ever... I do have one can of white primer. And I use it for... when I do winter terrain. But that is the only time. And then, hilariously enough, I'll paint it white, and then immediately I painted a light blue on top of it, and then I go in with white again. So even then, I still don't really follow the rule totally. The reason why I spray paint it white is because my 3D printers, I only buy black filament, generally. So, yeah. Now, I am not trying to hit any details or anything like that. I want this whole thing black. Can't remember who sang the song, but I want it painted black. That's... I saw the red door and I want it painted black. You know what? There's actually another miniature. If we still have quite a bit of black paint after this, I did pick up one more miniature that I'm not painting in the stream that I want to spend some time with. We're dating. No, there's a miniature that I have that peaks. It finishes off my collection, but I want to have more time to do it, and I don't want the stream. I kind of learned to try and keep the stream to trying to keep it under 2 hours, so I don't want to overload it with a ton of stuff unless I was doing something like I'm gonna paint an army in 2 hours, let's see how well we do. So I don't want to bite off more than I can chew, but I do want to paint that, just the base coat of black, that way when I go back to it. Time management, don't want to waste paint. You know, it's like when your parents, you know, when you were like, you had like 6,000 pounds of Brussels sprouts still on your plate, and your parents are like, you need to eat it, they're starving kids, and name somewhere here. I don't want the black paint to go to waste. Probably is like 2 pennies worth. Wouldn't believe what you can do with that. Alright. I want to keep him now off of the, at least the painted side. Start wiping paint off, see? Well, the challenge is this thing's heavy. Like, I know it sounds like it's just a little figure. Like, I mean, I get it. Like, I'm not trying to, like, hold it like a dumbbell. You know, I'm trying to keep it balanced in one spot while I'm painting it. And a big whiner. It's another side of it. Again, just globbing it on. I don't want to have like 8 pounds of paint on here, like, you know, dip it into a paint can. But I want to be able to do things with it later. You know, so I want it to dry like relatively quick. And acrylics do dry relatively quick. So it'll allow me to jump. That's why I like to do more than one thing at a time, because it lets me jump from one to the other in quick succession and get more things done. Again, another key to speed painting. Alright, I think I know what's going to happen, and I'm already betting to you what's going to happen is I'm going to look through this whole thing and be like, yeah, that's perfect. And then halfway through, when I'm done with the black paint, I'm going to go, oh, there's a huge spot I missed. Do it every time. If you're thinking, like, you're getting black paint all over your hands right now, JP, I know. I have gloves, but it's acrylic paint. Who cares? Finger painting is fun, guys. Alright. Hit those spots that I was... It's the nice thing about a huge miniature is I can just set it down and I know he can take getting hit with the brush while I'm doing that. So here's the other miniature. It's the red Slaad. Very red. So I'm going to do him really quick. There's like 7 or 8 different Slaad miniatures, and I painted all of them. And for whatever reason, the red is the... how do I explain this? If you're not a D&D player, but let's say you're a Pokemon fan. Let's hope you're a Pokemon fan. If you are, the red Slaad is like the Charmander of Pokemon, of D&D. It's the first evolution in most cases. And if you're a real D&D player and you're going, well, no, it can form from this, and it's not always the first. I know. We're talking to people who might not know. Anyways, so I'm going to keep this, though, because I want to use it as a painting guide. I like to use it as a painting guide. You can paint stuff however you want, but I like mine to try to look as closely to the books as I possibly can get. I do have some flourishes and stuff like that. There's some things, again, this Elemental Lord, but he's also not in the D&D books. I'm assuming he's in Pathfinder, but I don't play Pathfinder, so... I mean, I've got a ton of their miniatures, but, yeah. Again, I'm just meh. Quick, boom. And here's the thing, like, you might be thinking right now, well, that's just, I don't really even see any detail anymore now that you've covered it all in black paint. Trust me, when you start to add color on top of the black, that detail, the art of the sculpt will come out. It'll come out a big way. Let's just say it will burst through the closet screaming at you. It'll just scream, I'm here! And you're like, yes! Alright, I think we've got his underarm. That'll suffice. Put him off there. It's a nice thing of having a prep table in your work area. Anytime I'm taking a step away from something or I'm printing miniatures, I can just set them off to the side. You know, over there I've got a huge build area. So if I'm working on a city, which I am currently, I can set, you know, all of my stuff down and do layouts and stuff like that. Something I'm planning on doing, we'll be doing an unboxing of it very, very near future, is the Curse of Strahd. I want to build a 1-to-1 scale dungeon of Curse of Strahd. Now, obviously, 1-to-1 scale in Dungeons and Dragons is 28 millimeter. It would still, if you go the castle of Curse of Strahd, it's absolutely massive. So it'll be probably thousands of dungeon tiles. At least it's probably 1,000. And I have massive dungeon collections. I don't know if you guys have been hearing me this whole time. I have my mic muted. I hope to God you have, but you guys just see what I was doing. So, meh. Anyways. Yeah, in the near future, I have coming in from Beetle and Grimm. I have the Curse of Strahd box set, and in that has maps, 1-to-1 scale maps of the entire dungeon, which I plan on taking and using that as a template to build a 1-to-1 scale dungeon. I mean, the whole castle. So you could walk up to a table and there is the entire castle in its entirety. Not like here's the first floor, then we take it apart. I want it to be a standing 1-to-1 scale. And I've been working on parts of it for a while, but I've gotten to the part where I need to know what pieces I still need to make and that kind of stuff. And you can only, it's not like they print out blueprints of it. I have what came with the book and that kind of stuff, but Beetle and Grimm's got those great maps, so I'm gonna use those as my building blocks. So I really hope I haven't been muted this whole time. It was just me being stupid if I did, but I've done dumber things. So alright, stuff's still drying, it looks like, but that's never stopped me before. What we're going to be doing is, I like to work, and I recommend this, you need to work from the ground up. And what I mean by that is, it's like putting on your clothes. You're going to start with, socks and underwear, and then dress up. You're not going to put your pants on and then put your underwear over it. That makes sense. So, you want to have your paints in the same regard. So like looking at this bone Naga, you've got all the bones underneath, that are, and under that is the ground. Well, I want to do my first base coat, the complete coat. And in this case, the base coat is black. Then we're going to put a heavy brown on top of it, and then we're going to bring it up shades, and then we'll do the bone. I mean, obviously the bone's the biggest part. It'll take me 2 seconds to do. But if I do the bone now, then I have to try and get a way to do the base underneath it. And I'm just going to get the bone over and over and over again, then I'll have to repaint it. So it's working smarter, not harder. Now, I know you can probably see that some of this stuff is still like glistening a little bit. At least it's glistening for me. I know a lot of this stuff's not dry. That's okay. These are base coats. The dark brown will mix with the black. It doesn't really matter that much. Now, I'm not using that big hopping brush that I had to do this. I'm using probably a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch. I'm going to try and get in between these legs as much as I possibly can. I might go over them with black again if it's superimposing, but I don't think it'll be necessary. So that's a real challenge of this miniature, is you've got the legs. I mean, this is like painting a millipede on top of, and the legs there's literally space under. That's why it's such a great sculpt. The legs, there's a space between all the legs, and I can see the base underneath. If you just leave it black, it's not gonna, quite look right. So that'll be a challenge. Little challenge. Now I'm going a little bit quicker than I normally would. This base is really not dried all the way, but again, it's black, so it almost adds to it versus like the brown's gonna mix in a little bit. But so I'm not really painting here, I'm just globbing it on really for the base. You can see when I wipe my brush off, it's black. It's not... Alright, we're going to go to the big boy now, big boy brush. Simply because... although black is our base coat, I want brown also involved in this miniature as a more prominent feature. Not super heavy. You can see I'm doing a little bit of brush off and that kind of stuff. But I want brown to show through in the cracks. In order to do that, I need over a lot of it. Again, it's like putting on clothes in the morning or in the evening if you were a late waker. Now here I want to be careful because those gemstones, I want to stay away from them as much as possible. I have plans for those. And I kind of just want the black to be underneath. And yeah, I could switch brushes, but where's the fun in that? Sorry if I start like coughing and sneezing nonstop. I don't have COVID or like that. I have really bad allergies and I mowed my lawn today. And I've just been, that's why I pushed the stream back from 8 o'clock. I just I had an allergy problem and I couldn't get it under control for a while. It's like a race. Every time I get out of the finish mowing the lawn, I gotta rush to get a shower as quickly as possible, get the whatever you call it, the grass clipping smell and pollen dander or whatever off me. I'm a nerd. I'm not built for yard work. Okay. My brain just keeps on thinking that you guys didn't hear me for like the first 10 minutes. If that's true, if you could just let me know so I could just go to a corner and cry for a while, that'd be great. I don't want to do that yet. So we're having the conundrum of stuff's just not drying quick enough. I want to keep on moving on, but at the same time, stuff's not drying. So I'm going to keep on doing what I can do. I mean, you can't... that wasn't me. That was the paint. I didn't do that. Now I'm just pulling colors. I want a dark gray. That'll work. Since I'm not really able to do like the base anymore for either one, I'm just gonna keep on hitting other areas. So we do this top rock in a deep gray. Cool. We'll give him some time. Some time to sit and think about his thoughts. Alright, now what I want is I want another brown. Something that will contrast a bit for the bone Naga. What I'm doing here is I'm thinking, do I want a 2-tone color or 3-tone color? I think we're going to do 3. What I mean by that is I'm going to hit it with 3 different, well, technically 4 because the black underneath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the bases again with the lighter color. And this, I'm adding less and less each time. And the thing is that since it's still wet, it's just like mixing in, so it's actually like like way more different colors than what I'm even trying to do. You know, to try and buy some time, we're gonna hit this guy as well. I gotta do the base anyways, since I got the colors out. You know, impromptu. You know. Something I learned in the military: best laid plans go to crap in the first 2 seconds. Mer. Downside of cheap brushes, every now and then I pop the head off of these things. By every now and then I mean like every day, like 50 times. Man, still do the job. So that's still just too wet. So while we're waiting a little bit for these to dry a little bit, it normally dries quicker, but I did lay a little bit too much on to begin with. So I do want to show some of the new. We might be painting some of these on the channel, but this is the new. Let me try and get it all the way in the scene because it is pretty big. I got this model off of Miniature Hoarder, and 3D printed it. It has, if I can pop these, different parts. They have full interiors for playability. They're pretty awesome. If you can hear the printer in the background, and it comes out in multiple layers. There's another one. I got to sand up the pegs. These are just fresh off the printer, so they're not. I haven't cleaned them up or gone anything through them. If you follow my Instagram, you know that I finished the temple and another piece. Here's another one of them. This one's great. It's got a bridge. I got to clean up under here. There's a bunch of danglies and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, different interiors on different layers. Just awesome prints. And I think the whole set, it's 4 buildings, and then I got the well, was like $20. Now, obviously, I had to 3D print them, so, you have to pay for, to have the 3D printers, the filament, all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, I want to say it's going to be like 3 rolls total. So, I mean, yeah, it's like $100 for the whole set, but it'll cover the whole table, like when I'm done. And a lot of fun to paint, right? I mean, so I already had like a small, desert-like village. Very Aladdin-esque. And I was looking at it, I was just like, well, this is more like the slums. Like these other buildings are like the fineries, the nice, like they're really nice, or the merchants, or the, nobles, or that kind of stuff. And I can have the other buildings around the town if I want to build a whole town. So I thought that was really cool, so I got them, started doing that. If you can hear the printer in the background or see him, just this one right here, because the other piece is I'm down to my last roll on filament for last full roll, so I know I can get it on both. So I mean, technically I could print them and have them done by tomorrow, but I don't want to wake up at 4 in the morning and have to change out rolls multiple times. So then this is he's printing the last part. This is the last parts of that city, which is pretty cool. So there you go. Some of the stuff I'm 3D printing. Might do a little bit of painting of it. Might not. I don't know. Like to go where the wind takes me. If we have some red, I might just add the Slaad to the list. I mean, we're at about 44 minutes now, and a lot of it's just me sitting here literally waiting for paint to dry. So what I'm doing here is just lightly going through and adding another layer of color. And again, what I've said before, what I paint, I'm painting for tabletop quality. I'm not looking for something that I would enter into a paint contest. Like, they have those. Could I do that? Sure. I mean, I could spend a lot of time on something and really go crazy and show the joints. And, if I was doing this, I could do, the joints and stuff like that. But when it's just for the table, I don't need it. to be that good. And especially, I mean, and I'm not bragging here, but I've got like thousands of miniatures. If I did that with every single one of them and took that kind of time, I would still be painting some of my first batches. And anytime here, I'll have my Reaper Bones set, which will be a lot of painting videos. That'll probably be like a good chunk of the future of the channel. So, I mean, there's going to be 400 plus miniatures in that set. So what I'm doing here, the color I used is this is a skeleton bone from Army Painter, the Army Painter War Paints. I've bought a ton of other bottles and stuff from, you know, anything from the Apple Barrel to Folk Art to, you know, the crafting model or crafting paints, let's call it that. But nothing's been a solid bone to me except for Bone from Army Painter. I had bought, when I first started into miniatures, I had bought like the starter set from that, I think it's Wizkids came out with through Army Painter. And it was one of those like paint your miniature, and it came with like an owlbear. They now have them. They have one for the red Slaad, which this guy. They have, they did one just recently for the Manicore. I think they have one for a troll. And it comes with like a series of paints and stuff like that. And so I had gotten that, one of those miniatures, and I think Skeleton Bone came with it. I was just like, that's a solid color. That's just perfect. And so used it ever since. The only thing I find I have a problem with this skeleton color, and this is nothing against Army Painter, it's this color that I've experienced it. None of the other colors from Army Painter, I have a ton of them. For some reason, the paint, and this happens with Folk Art, all other stuff, something in the formula, it gets bunched up in the nozzle. It hardens in the nozzle. I actually got blasted in the eye. I was trying to squeeze a bottle, and I knew there was paint still in it, and it, just wouldn't come out. And I thought I was squeezing the dregs out, and it turned out the bottle was just like sealed. And so I provided enough pressure. I mean, squeeze a pop bottle enough, and it'll explode. I did the same thing. I squeezed it enough, and the whole top tip assembly blew out, hit my tray, and then came right back and ricocheted right into my eye. I was wearing glasses, but it was just one of those. And also, I don't think that'd be a health risk, really. I mean, you got paint in your eye, it's pretty bad. But it's acrylic. It's not, toxic or like that. So I had to flush my eye or something like that if I had gotten it in there. But still, not advisable. I'm not saying you have to wear safety glasses when you paint, but when you're me and an idiot, you do. So I'm just trying to get the last bit of the bone Naga. Now the base is still so wet that I just don't want to. I mean, it's there. It's pretty solid. We'll go in and do a dry brushing, or not a dry brushing, like a wash and stuff on the actual bone Naga. But that's why I really want. I mean, it's just a simple. It's just a skeleton going around. So, I do want to do a bit more to the base, but we'll get to that. So. And you know what? If I have some red, I'm going to do that red Slaad. That's a barnyard red. Bear with me, I didn't plan that portion, but I keep my paint boxes at my foot. You go, holiday red. Boom. So I'm taking a look at this right now, see what colors we got. So they did a granite base. I don't care. I like dirt bases. So we can use the bone. You can see this. We can use the bone to do his teeth. His eye is red, which, okay. And there's some green marks. Now I have green anyways to use on the on this guy. So let's just get into it. I think the barnyard red is just too mute. Jesus, try. I'll have to keep that in reference for the next time. Maybe I need to have more miniatures if I'm doing something that requires quite a bit. Now, I know I said there's some green stuff on him. We're going to get to that. I'm just doing the base coat. I'm leaving his nails alone because they're black in the picture. I'm going to try to avoid his teeth at all costs too, because if they remain black, it's a quick swipe with the bone color, and his teeth will pop, and it'll give it that individual look. All right. Not bad for a first coat. Let's see if we have any other reds so I can do another light, or either light or darker as a contrast. All right. Now, with the bone Naga, there are... You know what? I think he wants some red eyes. Let's see if I can get a brush that's got a good enough tip to it to do some eyes. That's the key to doing eyes, is having a real fine brush. This guy should do just nicely, if you can see him. So, use the colors you got. It doesn't have to be... Now, somebody will probably never ever see this detail. Where'd I get the other one? So, I hate doing eyes. I don't know if you can see him. Come on. See if we can get you a little bit more light there. Sorry. You can see the base is still a little bit wet. The bone is dried very well, but all right, that's pretty solid now. Alright, while everything else is drying, let's start doing the big guy. I'm going to hit that rock, since the rock is one of the most dry things on the whole thing. Oh, that was way too much. I hate that one bottle. It's got like a half-inch opening to it, and so every time I try and get a little bit of paint out of it, it just drops a whole glob of it. Now here I am. All I did is I got a little bit of paint on my brush, wiped most of it off on my tray, more of it off on the towel or rag, and then I'm just lightly hitting this, so only the highs are getting hit. Although no one will probably ever see the underside, I still want to get it. Alright, I'm going to hit the rest of him now with a lighter gray, or I'm sorry, a lighter brown. The same brown I did on the bases. Again, I'm just dry brushing it on, or not really dry brushing so much, of getting the brush a little bit of paint on it and then wiping a lot of the excess off so it doesn't come in on a glob. But what I'm aiming for are the little nooks and crannies on this guy, because in a moment we're going to add a whole lot more color. Because he's an earth elemental. In the picture, he looks like a stone elemental. I want there to be a lot of earth to him. I'm letting my paint tell the story, not letting the manufacturer dictate what my story will be. Or what his story will be, for that matter. Alrighty. So I'm going to add a little bit of ash too. But now, with that, I'm going to go for targeted areas. Because, I mean, here's the thing. He's an earth elemental. He's made up of, you know, dirt, rock, sod, that kind of stuff. So there should be a lot of color. So I'm going to go in and try and hit, like, individual rocks. I'm going to use the other grays, too. And I'm not trying to paint the rock solid. I want the browns to also show through. I mean, think about it. Maybe this guy formed out of the dirt from the ground. It would be a mess of color. Switch to a lighter. Hit it with that gray. I think that'll work actually better. If I just do a light dry brushing over top of a lot of that brown. Some of the brown is still wet, so it's mixing in. But I'm going to off change and off color each one, so there's different shades of brown. And then mix them. And perhaps what we'll do is we'll keep the base rock at the bottom more of a blacker, darker, and then hit the highers with a lighter. Maybe that was like the top rock, you know, the top soil kind of thing. Cool. Let's give you guys a full look at that. I know it looks like I just made it all brown, all gray again, and the top rock is gray, but if you look at it really closely, you can see a lot of the brown. It's actually more brownish than it is gray. And we're going to dirty up more. So let's get to the gem stuff. This is where we got to get a little bit more detailed oriented. So I'm doing here is I'm just hitting the gemstones I see, or the crystal, with this darker but yet olive-ish green. And then we're going to hit it again with a very dried brush of a lighter, almost fluorescent. But with that, I need the gemstones to be completely dry when I do that. Not bad. Ugh. All right. Now, I know with the Slaad, he's got some green, but it's almost like a fluorescent turquoise as well. Wonder if I have such a color around. I might actually have what I'm looking for. I will be right back, folks. So we're at the hour mark anyway, so I'm going to give it a brief break while I go to grab that paint, and I'll be right back with you guys shortly. Alright guys, sorry about that. So what I've got here, interesting color, is a teal topaz. And I also have a Merfolk turquoise from D&D, the Army Painter. That's that set I was telling you about. Because the color is not so much of a green as it is like an interesting, it's almost like they're, like you'd see on like a frog or something like that, that fluorescent. And I do know the history of the Slaads because I have a collection of them, all of them now officially. That they're a magic-based, they're a creature of magic or creation of magic. So let's do a little bit of something I don't normally ever do. I'm going to try and mix a color. I want to have that, I want it to be more greenish, but I like the fluorescentness of it. So I'm going to keep on trying to add, that's not enough. Is that the color? Is that the color I want? Let's get a little bit more. There's the bigger mix. Let's see what that makes. Yeah, that's a deeper, more sickly color. I don't want it to look pretty. This is a genuine monster. If I told you, if you want to look up what a real monster is, this is one of D&D's worst. Doesn't look like he's that big and all that stuff, but he is. He's pretty messed up. What these things do. So I don't want to say because I obviously have a D&D group, and I don't. They know I have a collection. I don't know if they know if I have a collection of these, but I don't want to give away what these guys do. So I'm just going to add a little bit of kind of like war paint. There's no like exact spot that I can see. So I'm just going to hit random spots around them. I really like that color, though. And then I think he's got like little spikes over him. I think for that we're going to do something as well. Alright, let's get a little bit more detail work on him. That's not the brush I need. Need a bit more of a fine tip. Fine tip. So what I'm doing right now is we're going to try and get some of the real detail in there. You see that I am very, very lightly. It's almost like I'm trying to just lightly brush his teeth. I put a little bit of paint on there, nothing to glob or like that. And he's got a smile now. So, and then I'm going to do the same with the spikes on his back. Now with the spikes, I got to remember to hit all the angles because they're not exactly like a rounded protrusion, and the brush is not long enough to go around them. So I've got to hit them in multiple areas, multiple spots. I got to be careful too because I can get I already got it once. I can get his lower body. but no problem. We've got our little leftover of the red from the original job. Just cover up our mistakes. That's all you gotta do. No one will ever know. It'll be our little secret. The words of Bob Ross, there are no mistakes, just happy accidents. And then his eyes, I know they're red in the picture. They're like a different red, but they're brighter. Yes, I just put a paintbrush in my mouth. That's how you get a tip. I've already talked about this. You look up radon, not radon, radium, and what used to happen with the girls who used to paint watch dials. Check that out on YouTube, History Channel, something like that. It's terrible. I think it'd be far more imposing to paint his eyes black. Pure black orbs looking into your soul like the great white shark. Cool. And then we're going to do something with him later. I'm going to do a wash on him. And then what I'll do, not on the stream, but I will go through with a clear coat, a gloss coat. I think I actually have it here. Yeah, so a gloss varnish. There you go. And it will make him have more of like a wet reptilian-like skin that will stand out. I don't generally do that on all my miniatures, but for him, it's a feature. It's not. I don't paint varnishes over top of my miniatures to protect my paint jobs. I used to. I did a couple miniatures and it looked weird. Like my villagers were like shiny. So stop doing that. But every now and then I'll do it for an actual feature. It'll make things like I said glossier. Okay, so red Slaad's pretty much done. The bone Naga's pretty much solid. I want to go and hit both their bases a bit more. And then I've got something for the bone Naga's base. I am really liking this earth elemental. It's very earthy color, obviously. It's an earth elemental. Gosh, JP, why are you such an idiot kind of thing? I know you're saying to yourselves. But it's just, he's growing on me. I feel like I gotta name it. Like Fred, the Earth Elemental Lord or something like that. That's scary, right? You're fighting like the big bad enemy guy and his name's Fred. Alright. I don't know if that's a bright enough color. What do you think? Do you think that color there is bright enough? I know the light's right on it and you're like, no, I can't even see it, dude. I feel like parakeet might be a better choice. Do I have a parakeet open? If you were like, why do you have several bottles of parakeet? Oh, there you go. Look at that. That's even brighter. That's a mint. It's bright mint. Answer right there. Question asked and answered. That one's still closed too. I've got paints like I did a rebuild of Erebor as a dungeon, it's like 3 stories for miniatures, so 28mm, 3 stories tall, has a whole wide variety of shenanigans on it, and I used a ton of greens. I wanted to look like marble, or it's in Erebor is a copper, or not, it's a gold mine. And if you've watched the movies, it has like a very bright, not bright so much as a marbleized green to it that I really liked, so I wanted to replicate it. I wanted to glow in the dark, and I used a green glow in the dark paint on top of it, and that just did not work as advertised. But let me give that a good shake. I've never opened this before, and who knows how long I've had this bottle for. Oh, that's the stuff I'm talking about. Now, brush choice will be paramount here. Gonna get a little square off tip. All right. Now for this, I am just going to, I don't want to use that because there's all this dark black on there. Fresh spot, wipe not as much as I can off of it, but all the, until I don't see anything else, and I'm just going to hit it and it'll give me highlights on the edges. And I know this doesn't seem like such a big detail. I mean, you guys can see, is that even noticeable? When you see it live, it is. There's too much on my brush. Again, try to check all the angles, make sure I got everything pretty clear so you guys can see that. So the side that's not done, the side that is done. And again, it's not glossy. When I do the red Slaad, the gloss, I'll hit the crystals. That'll do it, so that'll stand out. We might get to that. We might get to that. Alrighty. I know it looks like it's blending. I don't have a real good way to do the lighting here to make it not appear to all be one color. I'm sorry. Now, I do want to add some more detail to him. As I said, he appeared out of the ground, out of the earth, out of the, so there should be some green in there. I'm going to do very light on this on the body. And this is the darker green. Like an olive or a vine green. And I'm just hitting little spots sporadically. Also hit that rock that he's holding. And for the rock that he's holding, I also want to get it a little bit dirty. Right? It's a rock that he probably lifted from the ground to throw at somebody. So if you've ever been a kid and you picked up a big rock to maybe throw at your sibling or something like that, don't throw rocks at siblings. You know, it has that, you know, when you lift it up, it's been stuck in the dirt for probably 1,000 million billion jillion years, and you're the first jerk to pick it up. And there's all the creepy crawlies and there's all the mud that's stuck underneath it. Let's do that. Again, telling a story with your paints. So I'm going to do a little halvesies. You know, the top part that he's picking up is going to be the browner part because he picked it up and then lifted it over his head. And yes, I did use a different brown for this. But I do still want that detail to be there. It's like the original gray and lighter gray I put over top of it. So again, I'm wiping a lot of it off and just dry brushing it on. You couldn't really say dry brushing because it's not so much of a dry brush. It's a very light brushing on, if that makes sense. Right, you can see that it's more half and half now. All right. I want to do one thing to all their bases, and then we're going to do a treatment on all of them, and then I think we actually will clear them, or well, parts of some. Favorite colors, you guys know, territorial beige. Boom. It's a light brown that just, it's so useful on so many different, it's good for all occasions. Bar mitzvahs, weddings, funerals, all those kind of things. It's just a solid color. I use it on all my bases. I use it on a lot of stuff. It's like my go-to brown. I have like bottles upon bottles of it. It's too much. So what I'm doing is just very lightly hitting the base. It'll lighten up some spots, hide some spots where like my fingers were when I was first painting them. It's usually one of the last things I do is I just give a light brushing of that over a base or something like that. When I did my entire undead army, I just did the entire bases in territorial beige. Didn't do any other color. For the bone naga, I know that there's like going to be like parts of the bones touching the, you know, being brownish or blackish. When you think about it, it's crawling. I don't know how like biologically a skeleton uses its muscles and coils up, but since it's a bone, I mean it's magical. I get it, but I'm imagining like the bones are like ticking in the mud. So the tips, that's fine. Tells a story. I don't think a player's gonna be like, oh my gosh, this should be totally out of the realism. Like, there's some dirt on the edges. Like, they're not gonna do that. If they do, I'll tase them. I don't have a taser. I wouldn't do that. Probably be bad for, you know, parties if I was just tasing them right and left. That's why Tiamat exists. Throw Tiamat at them. That'll shut them up. I don't know where a Tiamat exists. A wild Tiamat. I throw a Pokeball. You fail. That is just lovely. Alright, so I'll give you... We got Grinning McGee here. You know, it's got all the color patches and that kind of stuff. You got the Bone Naga. We got Fred. Very solid, very cool. Alright, so what I'm going to do... be careful as possible. So this is a wash. This is a dark tone wash. I don't really need it for... I mean, this thing's just already dirty enough as it is. But I think I'll hit the bone Naga with it. If I can open this. Always have a knife with you. It's looking for a flathead, but all right. Now these come in little bottles too. Here's a Army Painter does like the little bottle collections. You can pick them up at your local game store. I go to Freedom Gaming, by the way, in Canton, if you were wondering. Where'd you pick the stuff up? Freedom Gaming is where I tend to go. They just expanded a ton of stuff. You check them out. It's awesome. They're pretty cool. People there, super knowledgeable. Awesome. So again, I'm not going soft on this one. I mean, this is not a dry brushing process. Gonna get it all on him. So the way I can describe like a wash, like some people, you can home make them, and I do for my terrain. Like this stuff, I use only on miniatures. My terrain, though, is, I mean, we're massive buildings. I'll make my own. And what I use is actually, check that out. I mean, it's blue water, because I was doing a lot of blue earlier, for the rivers and stuff. But, I mean, what I would do is I'd mix it up with part black, part browns, that kind of stuff, and make my own wash, the color that I wanted. And then you add a little bit of like Dawn dish soap, not affiliated, Dawn, like just naming a dish soap. Pick your own, Sparkles, or I don't know what else exists. I know Dawn. So yeah, there you go. Look at that. So it gives it more of a, it gets in the crevices, it gets in the nooks, it gives it a, I don't want to say a dirty look, dirtier look, whatever. It gives it more of a, again, mixes your colors together and adds more definition to it. We're going to hit him too, but I'm going to stay away from those crystals. Kind of want to get that rock more than anything. I'll tie everything in together. I'm kind of wishing I didn't get him too. But like everything, I can just wipe it off. I'm just dabbing at it a little bit. Little dab. You just saw that. You're probably like, oh my god, that just happened. Yes, it did. Watch out. Keep on watching. It might happen again sometime on the channel. You never know. The Wizards of Steve Irwin. Really gorgeous. Ooh, that's gorgeous. Stick my paintbrush in his cloaca. I'm sorry. I have absolute respect for Steve Irwin. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not messing with crocodiles. Like, that's insane. But I will totally. Poisonous snake. Yeah, I want to touch it. One of my biggest things on my bucket list. I want to go scuba diving with a great white shark. I've gone snorkeling with sharks, barracudas. I'm a certified scuba diver. I would love to. I mean, obviously in a cage. I'm not insane. But yeah, I think that I'm a huge fan. Megalodons. I just finished reading the first 2 books in the Megalodon series by. I want to give the guy credit. Again, not an advertised thingy, but I use Audible all the time. If you see my other headphone, I am listening to the Star Wars Bane trilogy series thing. So, Steve Alton. He's the same guy who, the movie The Meg is based off of his books. But yeah, just give a shout out to him because I'm a big nerd, and that's one of the other sides I nerd out on is sharks and scuba diving and Jacques Cousteau and all them. Now, if you're going, well, aren't you going to get the Slaad? Yes, I am. We're going to get him. Keep your pants on. Calm down. We use this. Alright, so let's get the Slaad going. With the clear, I just find it's just better to like kind of just, almost like glob it on a little bit. You want it to be, it dries clear, if that makes sense. You might see spots of it where it looks like he's covered in Elmer's glue. Again, I am not clearing this to protect it, or it's not normally a part of my process. It's the effect that the clear creates long term. Just like the resin pour I did on the rivers and on the shrine. I already had painted, but it's the extra added effect. It's taking it to the next level. It's an added bonus that the paint job's protected, but I don't really care about that. If I had to repaint something, if something got so messed up in my collection, which would be pretty hard, even like let's say I were to move. I've had family go, "You have so much stuff. What would happen if you moved?" All of my miniatures are in towering trays with pull-out trays on them. I'm gonna cellophane wrap those and put them in like boxes. The trays are not going to come apart or anything like that. Boom, move. If it rattles and jostles around, they might tip over on the trays, but that'll take a whole 20 minutes to put them all back on their stands. They're not going to jostle. I'm not putting them in a toolbox and slamming around. And that is actually how I started. That's one of the reasons why I actually started storing them in those trays, is because of those towers. Because I had miniatures in like wooden trays that I had bought and stained and did all this stuff, and they were like shadow boxes that you would hold up, but instead I made them in trays that I put miniatures in, and it was just not sustainable. I already had 10 trays, and half of them were I had a bunch of terrain in them, and the other half were miniatures, and I was just cramming more and more miniatures in them. Here's all my gnolls, here's all my, and they were full every 5 seconds, and I was like trying to consolidate terrain to use another tray. And then I went on eBay to try and buy some more trays, or not eBay, Amazon, whatever, and they had stopped making them. I'm like, I gotta find another way to do this. And so I came up with my tower system thing. So, a lot better. And I didn't come up with the idea. The Kavissel it's from IKEA. Another D&D player, I cannot remember who because I've seen tons of videos on him, but another D&D player was like, hey, this is what I use for my miniatures. I was like, that's a cool idea. Let me take it a step further, because he had like 1 or 2 on a shelf behind him. I knew it was 13 inches long, or squared, I should say. because it is a square. It's 13 inches squared. So I just started looking for, I had already been using for the entire, since I started collecting terrain and making stuff, that I use those 9, 6, 3 cube units that has you can put a little cube box in them. And I would just use those as display cabinets first, display trays for my terrain. And so what better way, if I can get the cube to hold one of those trays, if it's 13 inches, and put that whole thing in there, perfect. It's like an insert. And I was able to find, again, from IKEA, I don't remember what that sorter was, but it was, I found a 12 square shelf, and then I put 8 of those units in, and I mean, originally it was just 3 of them were full of miniatures. I'm at for sure full. I mean, I'm probably at 6 of them full now. I still have 2 more that are empty, but again, I have the bones stuff coming, so I'm gonna have a lot of stuff there, and then there's a bunch of big stuff too, dragons, and so I'll have to play the where do I put stuff again. So, all in all, I think this is just perfectly solid here. I can't be happier with that. Alright, so let's just do a final show and tell. I'm trying to be careful because a lot of this is sticky and wet. So there we have our rock. I did do the clear on his, but the crystals just kind of blend in. They are green and they do stand out, but in the lighting it's not so much. I'll do some after shots and post them on Instagram and the Facebook page and like that, so you guys can see better. It'll be better under my little studio lighting. Here's our red Slaad. Came out rather well with the clear coat over him. Again, he's sticky. And then our bone Naga, and that wash on top of it just really brings out that bone color. That's like my secret weapon for doing skeletons and like that. Any skeleton model I see, that's how I was able to do my undead army. I had one guy who was just like, I can't believe you did 450 miniatures in 3 months or whatever like that. And the printing did take most of it. And I did shoot a few videos, but I stupidly did it on Instagram instead of YouTube and that kind of stuff. I was starting out, and I'm still learning. If this video starts out with me being silent for 10, 15 minutes, it's because I'm still, is my mic on? Is this, So, but yeah, I'm still learning. There's a lot of stuff, but I was able to paint 100, and I think one of them was 108 miniatures in a single sitting in 2.5 hours live streaming. If you have a way, if you have an order of operations, it's almost like an assembly line. I mean, I don't have other people to do it, but I do everything at once. If I can use the same color, I do all that. Then I do the next color. Then I do the next color and keep on adding on. And you get to the end. We just painted 3. All of them are large classification miniatures and 1 gigantic. So we've got 14 minutes. Let's base these bad boys. Drop one on the ground. Alright, so basing is, again, I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm not saying how I do it is always the right way to do it, but it is. I'm kidding. So I use this stuff. See you guys can see it better. Bob Smith Industries Instaset. I have giant bottles of it. And I just keep on refilling my spray bottle. It is outstanding. And if you're going, well, what is it? You keep on talking about it, but what is it? It is, when I was a kid, when I was in, I started out actually in models in high school. We had a rocket team. We actually build rockets, TARC, Team America Rocketry Challenge. And one of my buddies is the one who introduced me to it. Trey. I'm still using it to this day, bud. Anyways, we called it Accelerator. It is marked Accelerator. I forget what... Adam Savage has a term for it, insecure or something like that. This says Insta-set on it. We always just call it accelerator as kids. Awesome stuff. And you'll see how it works in a second. I hope this super glue bottle works because I have tons of super glue bottles that... Alright, cool. This one has a clean nozzle. So you just put your miniature on the base like that. I have, 1 or 2 seconds to fiddle with it. Now, all you do with the accelerator is you take it. I want to spray on my mat. And it will, it's dry. It's just done. It's like an instantaneous. Now, here is the secret to this stuff. If you're a model maker, now I'm spraying it directly on. Another way to go about it is to, if you're doing like car models, and let's say you're working on the engine and you're putting on the headers and that kind of stuff, you can put your glue on the headers on like the pins, and then you spray the engine with your, after it's all painted and stuff, and the moment they touch, solid. Now I don't like that makes me nervous the moment it touches because I can get shaky hand on it. So I like to, spray it after, but I've never, anyway, it works. Let's cap that. And it reacts, by the way, this stuff reacts to what you would call super glue, cyanacrylate glue. Now, warning, you get it on your, if you get super glue on yourself and you spray that, you're going to have a bad time. It's going to be a short bad time, but you're going to have a bad time. I'm not saying it'll kill you. What it will do is it's an accelerator. It's a catalyst. And I know you're probably going, it's been so long since I've been out of high school, or if you're in high school still and you're watching this video, chemistry class. You're going to be able, if your teacher ever goes, does anybody know what a catalyst is? You're going to be like, JP told me. So catalyst in a chemical reaction, it's the what like lights up the chemical reaction. And if there's any chemistry teachers out there and I'm completely wrong, hit the comments, let me know. I'm licensed as an English teacher. Well, I'm not licensed anymore, but I was an English teacher. So I can probably spell catalyst if you let me write it down. No, I don't spell out loud. I literally can't. Like it's a disability. Like it's a real thing. I can't spell out loud. I can't see the word. Anyways, so baking soda I've heard also works. You sprinkle a little baking soda, cyanacrylate glue, it's done. But reactions, for every opposite there's an equal and opposite reaction kind of thing, I think. I don't know if that actually applies to this. But in the catalyst reaction with cyanacrylate glue and accelerator, it heats up. Just like resin heats up and it's melted. Like this was a red Solo cup. It is hardcore melted. You will feel it burn like Hades. It feels like somebody's putting a cigarette on your arm, or wherever you got it on. And then it's stuck there. And what's cool is you can flick it off afterwards. We had a guy on my team for Rocket Team who would do that. Like I'm not judging. That is masochistic behavior, but I'm not judging. But that was like a thing that he would, some kids wanted to put Elmer's glue on and act like they're peeling their skin off. He would put a little tick on there and scream, and then it won't give you like a 3rd degree burn, but it will burn. Like you'll feel it. So yeah, that is that. I think we did rather well in the time that we had. Again, if you guys got any questions, comments, concerns, since we've got a few extra minutes, I will throw out real quick. We will be back to our regular broadcasting time on 8 o'clock p.m. on Mondays following this week. so there won't be a live stream tomorrow. The Leprechaun Fantasy Workshop, I and a couple of the other, I will say, I mean, obviously I'm the guy. This is my show and my whatever. But there's a number of things that I'm trying to introduce that will bring more people on board. Some people are collaborating already. Some in my D&D group, some in, things like that. So that's why I always say we when I mention stuff on Instagram, that kind of stuff. Right now, myself and a couple others, we are working actually on a supplement book. My background is in English and writing, so I am working on creating a source book of trying to be as unique as possible in that bringing a lot of my medieval knowledge, my military knowledge, and try and add another course or another level to the games. So adding in pre-made guilds with NPCs already named and all that kind of stuff, so you're not going to trying to create, I can create a city in about an hour with 50 occupants, all individually named, what their jobs are, that kind of stuff. I'm going to have a bunch of pre-made stuff like that in there, guilds, your Mason guild, your blacksmith guild, your the navigators guild, all that kind of stuff. Plus a bunch of magic items, of course. I love magic items. Thinking about adding some custom monsters, some stuff that I've made, some major main quests that I've, like probably one or two main quest lines possible, all centered in the world that I run my game. It's something that I've been building for a while on my own for like writing novels and stuff, and I might go along that course as well. But I wanted to share if people are interested, so that's something we are working on. This is not like some official launch or drop date or something like that. We're like I said, I'm 50 pages in. But that's something we're working on. We're looking at, if we grow the channel, grow as a group. So, again, all your follows, your comments, those all really matter to us. We have a good following on Instagram. Last checked, maybe like 1,025 followers. All that's good. A lot of positive feedback on Instagram. We started on Instagram, just now branching into like Facebook, YouTube, doing live streaming, working on videos for the channel. I want to have those dropping on probably like a Wednesday or a Friday in the near future. I'm still learning a lot of this stuff. I want to start making models. I know a lot about medieval militaries and medieval time periods. I want to design my own buildings and that kind of stuff and be able to market those as well. So there's a lot of things that we're working on. One of my players is a map maker. There's a whole lot of stuff that we're looking to do for the channel. And again, your comments, your direction is what also guides us. If you guys have interesting ideas, we might pick up and run with them. If there's stuff you want to see, hey, I want to see you guys, make this. Like I said earlier in the channel, I'm looking at building a 1-to-1 scale of Curse of Strahd, the entire castle. Not like floor by floor and then we take it apart and we put it together. I mean a standing Curse of Strahd castle. I'm planning on running Curse of Strahd hopefully in October. So it'll be that's the next probably big project that I'll be looking at doing. So again, your guys' comments, concerns, interests, those kind of things, those are all what drive us. So with that, I will let you guys go. Again, my name is JP. It's the Leprechaun Fantasy Workshop. We are here to facilitate to you guys, running games, ideas for games, painting tutorials. There's a lot of stuff I will want to get into in the near future of, maybe one stream we'll just build 2 cities or something like that, together, or plan a large scale campaign. It is up to you guys, but I want to make sure that you guys are interested in it. We haven't really had a whole lot of viewers so far. I know the videos, I can see that, we have viewers and some comments, but it's one of those things that you guys are as much a part of this, of sharing. I'm taking the time out of my day to make this free of charge currently. We do want to make this our life if we can. So let us know what you guys want to see and we'll make it happen if we can. So I will see you guys in the next one. And maybe we'll get to that desert city, or something else. let us know. So I'm JP signing off. Have a great rest of your night, guys. And if you watch the Cleveland Indians game tomorrow, I might be the big stupid idiot behind home plate because I'm going to the doubleheader tomorrow. So that's why we're not having the channel. So